I feel like absolute garbage. And you know what? I look like garbage too. I was so on track, and then Thursday it all went to shit. I feel lethargic, tired, my mouth feels wrong. I have no want to go to the gym or exercise. I don't care about eating healthy right now. I just feel hunger, and the house is just a mess right now. It's just covered in laundry and things that I can't be asked to put away. Literally, as I'm speaking to you, skin is falling off my lip.
Nice.
Hey you guys, I am back and I am definitely raring and ready to go. And burnout is a distant memory. It is something that I squashed in the mud. It is a forgotten experience. No, okay, it's not forgotten. That's not true. Because if I'd forgotten it, then what's the point of this video? But what I'm getting at is I feel a hell of a lot better than I did the last time we spoke. This week is all about burnout, how to come back from burnout, how to recover from burnout. Now I'm here to share all of my glorious wisdom with you, along with all of the science explained, all of the debunked rubbish that's out there and how to avoid it, and basically just how to make burnout your bitch. Let's talk about what I did in order to master this immense transformation from caterpillar to butterfly, from tired slug to productive gazelle. Okay, so the first thing I had to do in this challenge was research. I had to hit my old roots from chemistry, biology, psychology. I had to pull from all of them and figure out what was going on when it came to burnout, fatigue, and all that stuff. I geeked out pretty hard, but it was epic. I loved it so much. So my first kind of search term was how to get out of a rut. And the problem with this is that the literature was heavily based around self-help and no academic studies or research, more just opinions, ideas, and philosophies that have been put out there. Next, I tried activities that boost productivity, but unfortunately anything that came up was extremely biased, not only in who was funding any research or papers, but also the motive behind finding out the information. So a lot of the research that I found was based around 9-to-5 jobs and people working from home during the pandemic and how companies could keep their workers productive. So basically this was on how their company could keep raking in that dollar bill, y'all. And I'm also not going to take advice from a 9-to-5 company on mental well-being. And finally, I found some decent research when I was looking at search terms surrounding fatigue, burnout, mood, lethargy, hydration, sleep, exercise, and diet. You just want me to tell you the punchy bits of information. So let's jump into that. Exercise was one that shocked me. I don't know about you, but I have always been told that exercise is good for your mental health. However, when you look more closely at the body of literature available to us, it's important to understand that we don't necessarily understand it as well as we may think. For example, if you're completely physically burnt out, don't run yourself to the gym for an hour of weights and cardio and expect a nice juicy delivery of serotonin. That's not going to happen, because fatigue changes everything. It changes when we release hormones, it changes how much of the hormone we release, it also changes the way that we perceive things that normally bring us joy. It's important to note that there's not just like this hard and fast rule with exercise that it will fix all your problems. In fact, in a study called Exercise and Mood, a selective review and synthesis of research employing the profile of mood states, they concluded that unfortunately there is no conclusive evidence that identifies a single mechanism or group of mechanisms as consistently influencing the exercise-mood relationship. Although knowledge in the relationship between exercise and mood alteration is substantial, much remains to be studied. So there you have it. They are basically stating in this that we don't have enough research. A further study titled Physical Activity and Subjective Wellbeing in Healthy Individuals, a meta-analytic review, highlighted that long-standing research suggested a positive relation between physical activity and health. That's great. It shows that there is a positive relationship. However, when investigating this relation, most studies focused on absence of disease or infirmity as health indicators. The relationship between the activity and positive health-related constructs, such as subjective well-being, SWB, remains oftentimes unexplored. And basically what that means is that when they're doing studies, the thing that they're actually measuring is that this person is less likely to have negative effects, as opposed to looking at how well something is going. Do they have a boost in mood when they exercise? Do they have a boost in productivity? Do they have a boost in earnings. They also said in their study that our results demonstrate a small beneficial main effect on physical activity and subject well-being, independent of the prior fitness level of the participants, meaning that no matter if you can run a marathon or if you struggle to walk up the stairs, they found that there is definitely a beneficial main effect of physical activity on subject well-being. Now, the second and last thing that I'm going to dig into for research with you guys is dopamine fasting. And this is something that has always irked me a little bit, especially in the way that it's presented in media and clickbait and wellness coaches and all that stuff. If I could just help one person understand this research better, I've succeeded. I feel like I've done my job. At the end of this explanation, if you understand dopamine fasting a little bit better, please stick it in the comment section below, because that would just make my day. Just to make it simplistic, dopamine is in essence a happy hormone, and dopamine fasting is a fad basically that spins the idea that if we fast from activities that give us dopamine, we'll become more sensitive to it, and then when we end the fast, when we do these activities, we'll get more joy from them, we'll be happier, and we'll get this massive rush of endorphins and dopamine. This is bollocks. This is bullshit. It's a fad that's come from misunderstood research, and like I said, it's often pushed by people who like wellness influencers or life coaches and things like that. And I've also seen it often used as clickbait, like a lot of clickbait. And when you're tired and fatigued, you'll do anything. So I know for a fact that people click on those things and think that they're helping themselves. The bottom line is this: you cannot simply fast from dopamine. It's a naturally occurring hormone. That's like trying to fast from saliva. Like, it's just dumb. The concept is dumb. Now, it's not to say that abstaining from things that people do in a dopamine fast, things like social media, people fast from food for a dopamine fast, listening to music, meeting up with their friends, that's not to say that abstaining from these activities or being mindful with how much you use them wouldn't have a benefit on your overall health. But it looks like any benefits you get during a dopamine fast is not because you are abstaining from dopamine, it's because you're increasing your mindfulness and you're being more aware of things that might have negative impacts on your mood and your lifestyle. Just a quick example: instead of scrolling through TikTok because you're on a dopamine fast, you are going to go on a 10-minute walk, and you have all of these amazing benefits, and you're like, well, it's because I didn't scroll on TikTok. Or it's because you went outside and exercised, so you get serotonin, dopamine, prostaglandins. You got vitamin D because you're out in sunlight, meaning you're going to absorb vitamin C better, which is going to help you absorb more iron, which is going to give you higher energy, less fatigue, better sleep, just a whole lot of good stuff basically. And it's not because you didn't scroll through TikTok, it's because you did do all of these other things. In fact, an article published by Harvard Medical School stated, in essence, the dopamine fasters are depriving themselves of healthy things for no reason, based on faulty service and the misinterpretation of a catchy title. So just be careful with those things. It's great to be mindful, but don't just get rid of everything that brings you joy and stop meeting up with your friends, because that is not healthy. Right, so let's look at what I did. Shall we jump into what you actually want to see, which is how I came back so gloriously, rising from the ashes like a phoenix after sitting in front of you with skin literally falling off my body? Well, the first thing that I realized was that I wasn't looking for happy and productive hormones. I was more looking to recover from a rest deficit. The best way I could describe to you the way I went about this, and quite successfully I might say, is not a scientific approach, but it was a theory put out there that I think so beautifully depicts the way in which we can be fatigued, individual to each person, that I thought I would use it as the way to go forward in this video. We're going to be focusing on 7 different areas. All of these 7 areas are places that you pull energy from, and therefore they are places that you can be fatigued in. Now, these areas are mental, spiritual, emotional, social, sensory, creative, and physical. So basically I jotted these 7 categories down, and I wrote down in the areas that I thought that I was fatigued, and then by the end of it I wanted all 7 stores stocked and ready for war. Ready for the longest winter.
Winter is coming.
And just prepared. So I won't read you everything, but I'll read you an example. So areas that I felt fine in were spiritual and creative, which left me 5 areas of a massive rest deficit, and I mean huge. For example, mental. I was frazzled, just burnt to absolute shit. I was like a hamster on a wheel, that's the best way I can describe it, and it was exhausting. Right, so let's talk about how I put all of it into play, all of the things that I did in order to come back from burnout. Let's go. As you can see at the beginning of this journey, I was living in basic squalor. There is something about putting a wash on and having so many clothes around. It just means that I don't put anything away after that because it already looks disorganized, and then I end up with a really messy flat in like 2 days. But it also meant that I wasn't taking care of my space, I wasn't taking care of my mind, and to be honest, I felt way too tired to even attempt it. So I started small. I started off in the communal space. That's where I relaxed, so that was a good place for me to have space mentally and physically. We also treated ourselves to Ben's amazing pizza, and I do a lot of the cooking because I love to cook. It's no other reason than that, really. His pizzas are so delicious and they felt like a real treat, and it was just like a little caregiving gesture that my body really appreciated. Also, Ben hoovered and wiped down all the surfaces as I tidied up, and that just got the space looking really spick and span, and it was a domino effect from there, I have to say. It kind of came into place that way. Next up on my list was no alarms. I don't know if you like me and you kind of set an alarm, and whether you have the intention of getting up at that alarm or not, it's gonna go off either way. You'll just dismiss it and roll back over and go to sleep. Stop doing this. Why? It wasn't until I reflected on this stupidity that I was like, that's such a dumb idea. Like, okay, I'm exhausted. I have no intention of getting up at 7:30, but I'm gonna let my phone make a massive noise at that time anyway, and I'll just turn it off. No. Turn your alarm off now! Why interrupt your deep REM restorative sleep to then turn an alarm off, which, if you're me, will make you feel guilty for not getting out of bed even though you had no intention of getting out of bed in the first place. So I turned the alarm off and let my body drive, and you know what? It was great. It is a Monday morning and it is 9:25 and I have only just got out of bed. I needed it so much. I've woken up and I feel like I've come out of a coma, but like a good kind of coma, you know? Oh, it feels good. I haven't been on my phone yet. Do I have like dents in my face? I probably do. You know those kinds of sleep where you wake up and you've got like dents in your arms and you've got like a numb shoulder? Feels good. Next, I wanted to charge my social battery, and I also wanted to take a mental break from work. On the couple of weeks running up to the start of this video, I had just burnt through all of the batch meals that I'd made in the freezer. I would run into the kitchen, stick it in the oven, run back to my desk, do 20 minutes of work, go back. That was not something that I appreciated. So I found some new recipes that I wanted to try out, and I made so much food. It's self-love, isn't it? It's self-care to cook yourself something really nutritious and yummy.
Give me. Oh yeah, you missed a bit. You left a bit behind. Give it to me.
Next up, we are dragging from the emotional pool. So like I said, I can be a little bit detached from my emotions when I have a lot to do, because I honestly just don't feel like I have time for them. And like, they're just such an inconvenience. So it's easier just to shut them off and crack on with what I've got to do than deal. So instead, what I did was I set up a program that I know is packed full of emotion. Ben was out of badminton and I just let myself feel. Instead of reminding myself, oh, it's not real, don't feel. Rhymes. I didn't do that. I just felt it and kind of went through it. And that was really beneficial, I think. And I liked that I could pick when I was feeling, because who doesn't like to be able to control that? I feel like these are psychotic tendencies or something. Like, it's not normal. Up next, meditative breaks. You guys, this was my favorite bit of this entire thing. Okay, a meditative break is basically where you've been doing work at your desk and you just set a timer on your phone and you just sit and you breathe and you basically just meditate. This changed my life. It was insane. Like, the things I would notice in these 5 minutes. It's mad how 3 minutes can change so much. Really focusing on my breath. I felt how tight my shoulders were. I'm thirsty. I've noticed that I'm thirsty, so I'm gonna drink some water now. It was mad. And I think that goes back to like turning off emotions. Sometimes you just turn off your like basic human needs so that you can get a task done, so that you're not interrupted. I loved these meditative breaks. They were just a chef's kiss, you know? Highly recommend. 5 stars on TripAdvisor, 100 emoji, fire emoji. Feels good. It does. It feels like I've had like a micro nap.
2 days later.
So you guys, I'm kind of losing the plot. I've been editing since 7 AM this morning. I think I'm just burning myself out again, but I don't have a choice because this deadline is Thursday. I'm gonna take another 5-minute zen. Seriously, you guys, if you don't do this, you need to. It's so blissful. Going to the gym was definitely something that I needed to do. I also felt like going to the gym was just an excuse to not do work, even though that's not true. So I was so thrilled when I finally forced myself to get to that gym. Literally the second I got in the car in my gym wear, I felt like, yes, this is the right thing to do. But for some reason I couldn't see that when I was in my office at home. It's a basic human need. And again, highly recommend, 10 out of 10. Okay, it wasn't until this section of my rest deficit recovery that I was even able to think about altering or fixing my morning routine. I needed to restore other areas of my rest deficit before I could even make it to this point. And I think that's because you can't necessarily make good decisions when you're really tired. So things like skincare, stretching, mindfulness, getting a jump start on the day, they weren't there for me anymore. I was so tired, I'd roll over in the morning, exhausted, and just pick up my phone. Also, by getting a jump start on the day, when I was really fatigued, putting a wash on literally felt like procrastination because I wasn't straight at my desk. It felt like I was doing that task to avoid video editing, which it wasn't true. And then I would like just bank it in my mind for the next time I got up. But instead what would happen is I'd be really deep in a really good work cycle where I was getting loads done, and my brain would go, don't forget you gotta put that wash on. So by just do it. Just go and put your wash on and then sit down at your desk. One of the really good things that I did in this actually was take breaks between deadlines. So I have my deadline list. This gets changed over every now and then. It's never a week or 10 days. It's just a deadline list and things that need to get done. As I felt like I wasn't getting any benefits out of all of this hard work, I took a proper break when I changed those deadline sheets over. And I didn't go to the kitchen for a cup of tea and go back to my desk. No. I took a full-on vacation. I went to Hawaii and back in the space of 4 hours. And I'm still not gonna do work, you know? I'm gonna have a bath or a shower, and I'm gonna make a delicious lunch. And then I feel like I've had like a mini weekend in between the to-do list I've just completed and the to-do list I have to do. And I cannot burn out on this to-do list. Also, when I took time for myself, I would bring a notebook with me. Because a bit like in the meditative break, things would come to me, ideas, and instead of having that mental reminder, don't forget, I would just jot them down on a piece of paper, and then I could put them out of my mind. I can just refer back to it easily, no stress, no pressure, easy breezy, sorted. A lot of the time after eating my food, I find that I walk back to my desk immediately from fear that I'll start procrastinating, because I know that I would procrastinate. A lot of the time I get really tired after I've eaten, and then I kind of use that as an excuse to procrastinate, and I knew that these deadlines were just too massive and too important, so I just didn't give myself any time to breathe. So during this rest deficit recovery, I purposely made sure that I just gave myself a 10-minute window to just feel a bit useless. Yeah, like I just didn't want to have a purpose for those 10 minutes. And I think I was able to do this because a few weeks ago I heard something that changed my perspective on procrastination. It was something like, nothing that has been set a purpose can be called procrastination. If you're watching YouTube and you're like, oh my god, I feel really guilty because I should be doing work, I would just like check in with myself quickly. I'd feel the guilt, and then I'd be like, I am assigning this block of time as creative and mental break. And then I'm like, okay, this is what the purpose of this time is, and therefore it's not procrastination. Ow, my arm. You're not dead. Stop it. No.
Neck. Really? You got what you deserve.
Hello. Now, one of the things I did want to do, because I read online that it was very important to decorate creative spaces, I did print off some really pretty like wall art, but I just don't know what arrangement I want to do. So that is forthcoming. That will appear behind me in a video somewhere in the next month. So finally, I just kind of want to say that combining all of these activities for some people is the only way they're going to be able to recover from burnout, because I know that your time is precious. Time, my friends, time is money, and we all know that. Everyone knows that. So I'm just gonna end this video off with our Easter Saturday vlog. I knew I was having the whole of Sunday off. We had loads of stuff that we had to do Saturday. I made the tasks more enjoyable and we had a good time out together so that I could combine my chores with my mental break from my office walls and my video editing and paperwork for my new job. Okay, so I have been glued to my desk. I have not stopped. Have I stopped?
Nah.
Nah.
No stop.
No stop.
No stop.
We have so many errands to run. It's Easter Saturday and I got up at 8 o'clock and sat at my desk. Proud of myself. There are many things that we need. We are going to a Sunday roast tomorrow with some friends. We're in charge of nibbles, so we need to do that. We also need to go to the market because that's where we get our fresh fruit and veg. And there's something else we need, which I think is the whole reason Ben wants to leave the house in the first place.
Accurate.
Do you want to tell them what it is?
Fucking Easter eggs!
Okay, that's so loud, you're so close to the camera.
Yep.
So much for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for all of your ongoing support. I will see you next week. Thank you so much. I will leave you with this.
So Boo, how's the Easter egg hunting going? You found them all yet? What's it been, like 25 minutes?
It's really hard this year.
It's because the only time I've hit them.
The bunny normally leaves me like 30 eggs and I find them in 20 minutes. This year he's...
30?
Yeah.
And you complained at me for getting a lot of Easter eggs. Jesus.
Well, not only part of the buying process. Okay, I think I've got them all in here.
Yes, you could think that.
Okay, I'm going to the office. No. Am I? Not. There was a big egg that I haven't found. Where are you going?
Oh.
You just filmed the egg. Oh!
Yeah, I watched you do that one. You literally went, wait. How about this one? No, how about this one? Wait, how about this one? How about this one? You literally skipped the one that it was on. Infinite wisdom.
So that's all the bunnies. I've got 5 bunnies.
There's 6 bunnies.
See, all my clothes are folded so neatly, so I know that they're not in there.
She's getting wise, kids.
Oh no, my knife. Oh, egg!